Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Lake County Board of County Commissioners work session. It's July 14th at 11 a.m. We're going to start this morning with an overview and discussion regarding the partnership between commissioners, veteran services officers, and veterans as part of the Look, Listen, and Learn tour. This will be led by members of the Colorado Division of Veterans Affairs. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. By way of introduction, maybe.
Sure, please.
Bruce Cowan, Director of the Division of Veterans Affairs.
Okay.
Eric Winroad, I'm the Veteran Services Supervisor. So what that kind of means is the regionals fall under me, but I also have the training section would fall under my purview, along with women and minority veterans who her last day was last Friday, so we'll be hiring for that. And then special populations. And special populations, we've kind of what the counties cover and then what the state was covering, there's some seams, like we've been invested a lot of time into going into prisons to make sure that the veterans, when they come out, have all their benefits. Maybe it helps with recidivism. Also nursing homes, assisted living facilities, specifically the Veterans Living Centers, of which there's 5 in the state. And then we're gonna, starting the spring semester, get on some of the campuses where some of the younger people get out of the military may not realize their benefits, or when you're young, you may not care about them. So we're gonna get in there and try to address that to get them in the system a little bit earlier.
My name is Matthew Cummings. I'm the regional supervisor. So the 3 teams of the regionals and the regional lead throughout the state, supervision and oversight for that, and assistance with all 64 counties in the state.
So the whole idea behind Look, Listen, and Learn is that when I came on board, I've been on board about 2 years, is that to no one's fault, right? But we never talk to you guys, right? So and rarely would I ever, like, I meet Harry at training events, but we never have an opportunity to talk to Harry's supervisor, and we'll pass things down and we're like, who are these people, man? I have no idea what it's like here. And so it's just to get to know each other and understand that, oh, they're not bad folks. So if Bruce sends out this email, I hate to talk to myself in third person. If I send out this email to you, you're going like, this doesn't make sense, right? This doesn't sit well with me. You can just pick up the phone and call, right? Versus the Darth Vader of the state, right? Another unfunded mandate. What are these dudes doing? Why don't they just leave us alone? So it's to just kind of get to know everybody and to listen, like, what are your concerns? What do you want from us? What are we not providing? And for us to do the same for you guys, to share what we think the veteran community and the veteran space can look like, maybe what it should look like, and then we modify, right? Because it's gonna be different here in Lake County than it is in Denver or El Paso, but Lake County is not unique, right? There's 64 counties. You've got similar rural counties. Do you guys consider yourself a rural county?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't want to say that, and you're like, dude, we're not. But you know, I mean, there's groupings of counties that are similar enough, and one of the big things we contend with is we go out and it's like every county we've been to is, well, it's different here, right? We're different. The things you talk about that doesn't work here, doesn't apply here, and the nuances of how you get the job done are up to you, right? We're only here to help, but what I will often see is when people say that is it's a basis for performance or statistics or data not being where other counties are. Because we're not here to poke people, we're not here to throw spears or rocks, we're just here to share information and have a conversation. And that's really what we want it to be, is more a conversation than just than me sitting here and these guys sitting here talking to you. So that's the purpose of the Look, Listen, and Learn. When we talk about stuff, we have no idea. I've seen Harry at training, I don't know Harry. So none of this is directed at Harry or how things are happening in Lake County. This is our experience of working through the 64 counties. We've been
Almost 50.
Yeah, we're approaching 50. You don't realize how big a state it is until you have to drive from, all over the place. It can take a week to cover 4 or 5 counties sometimes. So we're trying to get to all 64, we're at 50. So it's just our experience. So none of this is, I am 100% transparent, 100% honest with you guys. We are not going to try and say something that's implied. It's just conversation and experience. So that's important. So I wanna go through my notes here. One of the things we do experience, and I would love to, if we can have a conversation or you guys can have the conversation offline, is that the VSO, Veteran Service Officer, which is what Harry is a unique beast, right? There are only 90 in the state, county VSOs, 90 in the entire state. There aren't many professions where the number is that limited. So it's not unusual, we wouldn't necessarily be surprised to find that you don't know how to manage or supervise that because you really don't know what it is they do, right? Hey, they're just off in their own world, they do their thing, we're happy, they come in, they seem busy, we're happy. And so what we would like to do is help maybe find ways to, if you're interested, engage and to help do things that one of the things we oftentimes don't see in counties is like goal setting and objectives. And hey, what for the time that a veteran, the VSO, spends with you, what do we expect to get out of it? And the reason we care is because the veterans they're serving, on average, if they get VA benefits, the average dollars are $40,000 a year to that veteran. So it's not small, right? I mean, that to me is life-changing money. And if we can get veterans who have a 10% disability to 50, it's life-changing. If we can get veterans that aren't if we can get veterans that aren't in the VA system, it's life-changing. And so that's our goal, right? Our goal and our objective. We just kind of want to work with you guys if you want our help to help you get there. You can tell us to pound sand and we're happy and we don't care, and that's okay too. But that's kind of what we're here. So it's about serving the veteran. That's it. Honest to God, the only thing I care about. That's the only thing I want these guys to care about. A lot of things we'll see, especially in small rural counties, is we've been to counties where there's no office hours. We've been to counties where there's no website. We've been to counties where the VSO doesn't have an office to meet with veterans. And the biggest thing we see is counties where they look at activity, but they don't look at productivity. And it's like, and I'll give you an example. We were at a county, a rural county, where the VSO was so proud of this breakfast they do every year. He's like, we had almost 200 veterans show up for this breakfast. And I'm like, so how many new claims did you get out of that? I mean, how many people were you able to help? None. Because they didn't ask. It's not that, it's like, man, what a beautiful opportunity. You finally got all these people in a room and you don't have a chance to talk to them about, hey, the PACT Act, which happened in 2022, changed everything, especially for our Vietnam era veterans, actually for everyone. Yeah. And so if you've gotten out prior to 2022, you may not know this exists. And so that's, to me, it's leaving money on the table. And so, how do you convert an outreach event or do you have an outreach event? How do you convert that to claims? Mm-hmm. Those are the kind of things that we struggle or we oftentimes don't see. The other is metrics. We were in a county recently where in 9 months, the county VSO served 2 veterans. And this county paid them almost, in a year, they'll pay them close to $20,000. And I mean, that to me is almost criminal, right? I mean, we supplement that, but that's almost criminal, but that's how disengaged the county was. And so we just want to share those stories and to help, we can help you with, hey, yeah, we do want some metrics. We want to understand how many veterans, how many veterans we saw this month, how many new claims, things of that nature, just to be able to understand what, for lack of better terms, what you're getting for your money. For me, it's how many are really serving those veterans. Because how many veterans do we have in Lake County?
359. Wow. And that's based off of the VA's numbers, and it's on the geographic distribution of expenditures comes out every year. So we'll be getting a new number, and the trend of veterans is, World War II folks are not with us in a very high percentage. Vietnam they're in the part where they're dying off. Mm-hmm. That's a bad way to phrase that, but they're and the Army and all the military was larger then, so we're getting smaller. So mm-hmm. I haven't seen the new GDX, but I can guarantee your number is going to go down from 359 because that's just the general trend.
Mm-hmm. And how much money do those 359 veterans bring in, just in terms of the VA? Yeah, I know I'm getting ahead of your.
So
sorry. Wow, he's
Here it
getting,
is, I got it. Lake County, total for direct expenditure, well, let's just go compensation and pension. So that's the money that comes into their pockets for veterans, not even survivors, is
tax-free dollars.
$1.778 million. And then the spouses, that are getting money because their veteran pass is 53,000. So, you know, it's all $1.8 million to your county from that.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not good at public math, but that's a lot of money per veteran.
$5,000.
You're much better at public math.
$5,000
$5,000 a month per veveteran.
per veteran.
that's
Didn't
for-
include.
Yeah, so that's
Just
for
for
the
that.
direct expenditures.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's healthcare as well, which you'll do your whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
So direct medical care, so this is what is being augmented by whatever medical, $1.4 million. That's what the VA is paying for medical care for veterans in Lake County. Now, they're not getting that service here unless do you have community care? Because I know you don't have a clinic, but if you have a clinic, community care providers, then that contributes to that. But if they also zip down the hill to the nearest clinic, the VA clinic, that will also still count back here, even though it's provided somewhere else.
it is
What was that number again?
1.4.
And that's separate from the 1.8, or is that a
Yes,
portion
yeah.
of it?
No, that's
Okay.
separate. So the total direct expenditures through all things, including education and home loans and all that stuff for Lake County's $3.367 million.
And so the next thing I'd like to share, we're talking about or whatever is what does it mean to be a good BSO? What should they be focusing on? And again, the idea is it's a conversation, but one is new claims, right? The biggest thing that anyone can do is bring new veterans into the system. So I'm not gonna go over the numbers, C's gonna go over the numbers with you. And then the other is that, hey, if you're working X number of hours, review the old claims, right? How many Vietnam era veterans we not talked to where you can go through VBMS and these different systems, Vetrospect, and be like, oh, Joe or Sarah, they served in Vietnam era vets. We haven't done anything with them since the PACT Act. Let's give them a call because the number of presumptive conditions have changed, what illnesses they don't have to prove that it's service connected.
Yeah.
It's just, they're going to assume it. How many of those individuals, maybe you reach out to them, have hypertension? Why that's important is it can be a benefit, but also, heaven forbid they die of heart disease, then their spouse can get benefits, surviving spouses can get benefits, but it's only if we're aware and we file the claims. And the only way you do that is through quality outreach, right? And I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, when I retired a couple of years ago from the military, I'd run into her, I hadn't seen her, and I know her husband passed away from cancer. And I was like, Susie, you're getting DIC because her husband passed away from a blood disease, some kind of blood cancer. And she's like, no, I was told I wasn't eligible. I'm like, oh my God, you are eligible. I mean, I'm not a veteran service officer. These guys have all the details, but I knew from his cancer, so we got her with one of our veteran service officers, and now she'll get
Yes,
$1,700 a month tax-free for the rest of her life.
Oh, that's great.
But it's great, but right, her husband died 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And she got bad information or the information changed over time. So we can never assume that something is done, right? The VA is always changing. So how do we, outreach, education, inform, community involvement, community engagement, and then training. The information, the breadth and depth of knowledge that a veteran service officer has to have is immense. Like, it would scare the crap out of me to be a VSO because the responsibility of taking care of the veteran, but what they have to know is insane. It's just, so training is important, and I know Harry comes to the training, so we appreciate that support. And so it's really up to you guys to define success, right? For me, the biggest, please don't fall into that myth, it's different here, our veterans are different. They don't want to be found, they're here because they want to get away. I've never met anybody where I'll say, sir, I will hand you $350 a month for the rest of your life and give you free health care. I'm not interested. Now, there are a few, right? But it's overcoming the challenges of the VA told them no in the 70s. The VA told them no in the 80s, 90s. It's a different VA now. They figured out their business model, right? VA is a business, make no mistake. the number of veterans are declining year over year. So the VA is going like, we wanna maintain our employees and we wanna maintain the federal funding, we have to bring more veterans in, or we have to give the veterans we have more. So they're marketing their program, and they went from no, you have to prove everything, to a lot more presumptive. Honest to God, it's an easier environment to operate in. So, we talked about just the way you guys can help verify success. We do have a policies and procedures manual, and you guys don't need to read it, but is Harry supervisor here? Yeah, so are you familiar with the policies and procedures manual?
I'm not, I recently just became.
Okay, perfect. So we have, every year we come out with a new one, and we will get that to you.
Perfect.
And it's just a good thing to review and to help with supervisors, to help with supervisors, we have something called Civic Roundtable. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
Okay, and so we're gonna be sending emails out through that process, and we'll be handing documents there. So, but if you ever have questions, man, reach out to these guys, or you can call me anytime. But that's kind of what provides the guidance, and it tells what Harry has to do every year in terms of training and what our requirements are. But it's an important thing just to be aware of. You don't have to read the whole thing, but what the county does is important. But our responsibilities to you are important. We want you to hold us accountable, because we sometimes, right, we all sometimes maybe veer a little bit from left of center when we just get busy. So please use that to hold us accountable for our job. The two things I really want to share, Veteran Trust Fund and Veterans Assistance Grants, are two grants that my department, my division offers. The Veteran Trust Fund, if you guys have an active VFW or American Legion here, we do about 1.1 million in grants a year. And typically we don't have enough grant applications to give the money away. So we ask people, the local VFW, last year to make it easier, we actually started a Neighborly, it's a software program to make it easier to apply for the grants. We're doing everything we can to give this money away. We just need organizations to apply for it. And then the other is the Veterans Assistance Grant. That's what counties and nonprofits can apply for. So you as a county could apply for a grant, and I will share, like, some counties, Harry would be the one who would help administer it. So when you have veterans coming in and they have, hey, I can't pay my electric bill, my car broke down, I have mental health issues I can't address. It's whatever the veteran needs, just emergency assistance. And so that can be done at the county level and nonprofits, if you have a nonprofit in town to work with. So those are two grants, and you guys can,
What was the second one again?
it's a Veterans Assistance Grant.
Thank you.
And is that applied to individual veterans, or is that just a block of money that comes into the county to be used for the veterans?
It's a block of money that will come into the county and be used for the veterans. So you can establish your own policies. So, you could say, hey, we're gonna limit it to $1,000 a veteran a year. We're gonna limit it to whatever, but it can be for anything from fixing a car. Because if they can't get to work, right, then their crisis gets bigger.
We've had, for example, we had a land enforcement case recently with a veteran, and we're trying to figure out how to help them.
Mhm.
So that'd be a situation where, hey, you need to clean up your property, that we help with it.
I would say that would be, that's an interesting one, right? That's a little bit of a unique situation. I wouldn't want to answer it until I could read, but very potentially, right? It's an emergent situation to help this person. I think the answer is yes. I think we did that once before.
If it's gonna cause them to lose their housing, then it's kinda like you're behind on rent, but you have a fee, cause we've done that in the past for somebody's, I've heard where the yard is like
Yeah,
overgrown, they
that's
keep
what-
getting tickets, cause your yard looks like
Yep.
garbage. Well, now we pay that off and we pay the kid down the street to mow the grass once a week or whatever it is.
And it's really your policies that limit it. So what, we can fix a hot water heater, but we can't replace it, right? We can't do capital improvements. You can fix their furnace, but you can't replace it, things of that nature. There are some limitations to it, but it's really most of it's the policies you would establish.
My interactions with the community get into real specifics and like real personal connections, so like, I don't have like too many super broad questions, but
Yeah.
what you're just talking about brings up something in my mind that I'm like, oh, maybe I could find out a way to help someone specifically right here in this instance. Where like I've got a friend who's veteran, his landlord is selling his house. He's like, I don't even know how I can stay up here anymore. I can't afford these rents, like, do you guys do rental assistance or like help someone get their, a down payment on their first
Yeah, so
home
to me,
or
that's
things?
emergency financial need, right? Hey,
Okay,
we're gonna give them $1,500 as emergency financial assistance to keep them from being homeless. Here's the other good news, and it's Andy, right?
Yeah.
Andy, you can call me and we will get you in touch with Lisa Stam, she's our grants manager. You don't have to have that grant to help that veteran. We will find out anybody in the state, we can find any available money in the state to help that veteran. So let's just say for the sake of argument, it's the VFW in Los Animas County. If they have money available, we will use that money to help your veteran.
okay.
So you don't need to have the grant to make that happen.
It's easier if you do, cause then it's a lot less
Quicker.
people in the.
Yeah, it's hi.
Sorry, it's my daughter.
Oh,
No, that's all right.
Ray, you can come
I was
in.
gonna say she could join us. She'd be bored.
I told her she had to, so.
yeah,
What I'd like to additionally add is, that's kind of like the triage treatment, alright? So, with a lot of the other programs that we work with the VA and other connections, there's HUD-VASH programs and other
Oh, yeah.
assistance programs that if we're aware of the situation, we can build connections and so on based on who's in office or on vacation or who just took over. There's other resources to it. With the majority of these things, there's no one right answer. There's a multitude of answers, but unless we know about the situation or Harry's tracking everything on the situation, which perfect example is the like Life Alert deal that we talked about not too long ago. There's other programs that are out there, and depending on what region or what healthcare system you're in, or there's a bunch of different ways to skin a cat on this. There's no one absolute answer that's just gonna be this grant and that's for the life of the need for the veteran. There's other steps to go into it. So that's why we encourage the communication and reaching out to the regional teams and cross communication between that and other counties. Because other counties may have a program that they use that can be developed in your guys' county, but they might be able to, get on board with. So it's situational based, but there are other options and other answers in almost every single case.
You guys have some Swiss Army knife
Pretty much.
type
We really-
approaches to look at things.
HUD-VASH is a great one where that voucher ends up with the veteran, right?
Correct.
Like I said, I'm not a VSO, and that literally can provide housing for life for them. But there's criteria. I mean, if you're making $100,000 a year, you're probably not gonna qualify, but there is criteria that they have to qualify for. But yeah, I mean, it provides them, that voucher stays with the veteran. So yeah, there's opportunities out there.
Why wouldn't there just be like a budget that goes into every county to provide some of those emergency services? It's just,
So the grants come from two sources. They both come from the state. The Veteran Trust Fund comes from the Master Tobacco Settlement. Years ago, late 90s, they sued the tobacco companies. So that comes in through what they call a cash fund. And so the legislature has said, we will give you a 1% or 1.25% of that every year into a Veteran Trust Fund. The second part of it is the Veterans Assistance Grants General Fund money. And the legislature has said, here's $1 million a year, or whatever they give us in the long bill. But with that is the criteria, and they do it through a grant program.
okay,
So we just have to execute what's in the Colorado revised statute.
got it.
That's why
It's not
we
like
don't.
it's actually part of your budget that
Yeah,
you
we're
could
not-
be dispersing.
Yeah, we're not
Got it.
creating, we manage the grant, but we don't create the grant.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes a lot more sense.
Are there any clear examples outside of providing an office and a website, that other county leaders have done that stand out to you guys that have really supported their local VSO?
Man, I think there are certain counties where it seems like the outreach programs, if you will, like if you guys do a county fair, is just make veterans not the focus, right, but a part of it. And just outreach to me is the biggest thing where I see counties being successful. It's a team sport. Honestly, it's seeing somebody in your local store has got a Vietnam veteran hat on, although it's hard here, right, because so many people come for vacation but is to walk up and say, hey man, thank you for your service. Have you filed a claim with VA? Have you met Harry, our VSO? Because we have somebody here to help you. And the answer is no, man. Well, give me your number and I'll have Harry give you a call. And it's surprising, or hey, when did you file a claim? Because did you know a lot of stuff has changed? And I've had a lot of success, man, just being in King Supers down in Denver, of having people reach out and file claims.
We only have
You-
one grocery store, so that makes it easier.
Yes, I'm kind of the little stats guy, so I got some stats. So out of the 359, only 97 of your veterans, which is 27.02% or what, are getting either compensation or pension. And that 97 is not just using Harry, but that includes anybody that's the American Legion, VFW, DAV, that's any organization that the VA recognizes, or some people that self did it.
Yeah.
Per veteran. And so that ranks Lake County as 52 out of 64 counties, but then when you break it down even further to just when we look at us, the CDVA, which Harry operates under, is 039. So when I say 039, it just means the Colorado State. There's 23 veterans, so 23 of the 97 are being worked specifically by either Harry, whoever was here before Harry, or in surrounding counties. So if you live here, but you work in Summit County, maybe it's easier during your lunch break to go see that VSO, because you leave at 5 and you don't get home till 8. Well, I'm sure, your office hours aren't before 5 and after 8, so maybe they use a different county. So that's 23, and so that's 6.4% of it. So I think the outreach, at least where Lake County is right now, it is a huge portion of that, to just, nothing comes out of the funnel until you put something in the funnel. So, you gotta get those folks, and some of them may be resistant, some of them, if they got a dishonorable discharge, aren't eligible. And then some of them may already be at 100% with the VFW. Well, you're taken care of, that's fine, go on with your life, but if you need something in the future, come see us, so.
And you talked about 29%, was that what it was, 29%?
27.27.
27%.
Yep.
So the state average is 39.7, right? And so we talked about goal setting, maybe that's a goal, it's not to be the state average, because maybe that's not appropriate for your county, but those are the kind of things that we look at, and it's just why, right? I mean, that's all we want, is we're hoping for people to start thinking about something that they just accepted before, like, hey, why can't we be a little better? Or what can we do to be a little better, those kind of things.
I think it'd be helpful for you guys to know that a big part of Harry being moved under reporting to Kelsey is so that he is established with our senior center.
Yeah.
And we're getting him moved to a different area where people, know where they can engage with him. And also we've helped Harry make some flyers and get some communications out through our public health and other channels that weren't really being utilized before. I think he may have been reporting directly to Lauren before I came in, and was up at CMC without regular, like, hey, let's try to get you where we know that you'd be engaging with people. And then also being able to utilize some of our outreach with being able to actually get people to places through our transit in the senior center now that we've gotten a CDOT grant to expand, actually being able to get people to appointments, get them connected with rides. And so that's a big part of really moving Harry into an area where he has a little more direct support this year. So it'll be interesting to see how those scores change, and also, taking into account some of our residents are less than excited to come and meet with us, so trying to think of unique ways to get him engaged with people.
Yeah.
You have to go where they are.
Yeah.
You really do. And to that, so the county VSO, it's your program, it's not ours. We though have regional VSOs, and you're gonna probably talk about that a little bit, but we'll help Harry. The first time, like, if you all wanna join us, we'll all get together, we will join you, is we'll come and do an outreach event, and we'll kind of show you, or we'll sit there with you and share with you what we see and how we would conduct business, just to help, right? Because sometimes, to your point, if there's never been guidance in the past, man, it's an exponential learning, and maybe we went down this path that, oh man, I never even knew I could do this, or I never even thought about doing it. So we'll bring people to help you with these outreach events.
Especially because he's such a small office. He's, one person, and if it's an hour per veteran, which is not unreasonable for an appointment, and he has a clinic and more than 8 people are there, he's already disappointing some people at the end of the line. So we will flex people up to come and sit, so now there's 3 or 4, and you can do more than that, and everybody feels a little bit of the love. And if we do their claim, the initial claim, we're all into the same thing, so he can see it on the system. They're never gonna come down to Denver to keep talking to Eric. They're just gonna turn around and talk to Harry, and he can see everything in the system. So Harry does use Civic Roundtable, and he communicates with Matt and Scott. That's our regional VSO on the, what are we using, Teams, whatever the automation is today. So he's talked to, so we're in contact with Harry, and the education piece that the boss talked about, in order to stay, certified by us and accredited by the VA, so, he's accredited by the federal VA, you have to do 16 CEUs a year. Harry last year did 44. So he's involved, he's getting the education. Now it's just a part of, filling the funnel for him, and we'll definitely come help with that, especially since you're in Leadville, it's nice.
One of the other things that is key, and you had asked about one of the successful things that a lot of the other counties have done, and word of mouth is what brings the majority of veterans in. That's just flat facts. We don't care what we read on a website, we don't care what we read on social media, but if George tells me Harry's the man to see, I'm gonna go see George, or I'm gonna go see Harry, because George and I have been cutting firewood for 28 plus years, especially up in communities like this, I've ran mountain properties and stuff like that, I'm well versed in it. But the other part about it is, let's face facts, veterans love free stuff. So like the donut socials and the coffee socials that a lot of these counties do once a month to bring in donuts and veterans come down and just meet with other veterans. That provides another open source for getting veterans in to talk. But you guys have Boom Days, right? Or is it Boomtown Days?
Boom Days, yeah.
Boom Days, okay. And is that coming up at the end of July?
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
First week of August.
First week,
We
I was
have
in the
a big
ballpark.
fire.
I got you. Well,
We saw
hopefully
it.
everything goes right. But if there was a table being set up and, Harry was gonna be out there, it needed support from Scott or from me or from Linda, who's also in, this region. We're willing to come out and help out. We just need a, proper notification, day before, hey, we got this tomorrow, can you guys come up here? That's gonna be a little bit harder to manage, but we'll do our best within reason. We're happy to come up, and there's a difference in different eras. So we have people from multitude of eras and talk to people differently. Anybody that has worked with me, I'm a very energetic person. It is very draining for me to be out there and talk to people, but I do it to make sure that he gets assistance. So if you want somebody to come help out while he's talking to veterans behind the table, putting stuff in, getting appointments scheduled, we're happy to do that. But the other part about it, and when we talk about all this money, we don't consider it just on that basis. His office is bringing money back into the county. All right, so there's that. But with the rule of fives, where every $1 is touching 5 hands before, it dissipates out, that's a lot of extra money. The mathematics on what I did based off of that, if that number breaks down from that 1.8 all the way down, $1,547 per veteran. That's pre-tax. So you times that by 0.25, and that's bringing a different level of income into here. And based off of the numbers that we're looking at, the average income per household per individual is $58,000. That would change that substantially. So just throwing that information out there, we're happy to help with where we can.
And
So,
in addition to that, we will, Harry can't be there, but if you do Boomtown from, whatever time these festivals start off at 10 to 10, right, or whatever the hours might be.
Too much, yeah.
It's too much, right? So we can also fill in those voids so there's somebody there. Not just be there when Harry's there, but to be there when he can't be there.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so we can, I'm telling that, I don't wanna commit resources, but I will.
Yeah.
So we'll help.
Yeah, I'm hearing resources committed
We'll come to
for sure.
Boomtown.
Yeah.
We'll help, we have tables, we can help make that happen.
We'll get you a booth.
Yeah,
I think
Committing resources all over the place.
I will make one.
yeah, no, we're happy to help, yeah.
That's great.
That's right, you had a good time.
Yeah, Eric, you can put it on
Oh,
your
yeah,
calendar.
did you bring your wife up?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Does
I
the
know you're-
VA ever work with any non-VA service providers, like locally it would be like Elevated Healthcare or St. Vincent's, is there any, is that a thing?
They
Okay,
do.
You guys
So-
are all shaking your head,
So it's
yes.
it's called community care,
Okay,
and then the facility would have to request to be a community care facility.
Yeah.
And they go through the credential and the VA is not always easy to work with.
right,
But yeah, that's exactly how you can expand services in here, is for that organization to request to be a community care provider through the VA.
okay. And then Do we have, I'm sure this is probably something that can be found somewhere, do we have a breakdown of the demographics of our local veterans, especially age groups? Cause I think that would steer what kind of services we'd be looking at, would be expected moving forward, you know, like.
So the VA doesn't break it down to the county level like that, but it does it to the state level, and if you just like transpose the percentages of the state onto the county, would get you somewhat close.
Could probably like juxtapose it against our local demographics.
Yeah, so
We
if
kinda have
10%
an
of
aging
the-
demographic here, younger folks moving away because of the cost of living hurdles and.
If you want those percentages based on that average, you are welcome to email me, because believe it or not, I'm a numbers guy as well. I
Okay.
have broken all that stuff down based on the federal and state average.
Okay.
Who's your congressional representative here?
Pedersen,
Okay,
Brittany Pedersen.
yeah, so, you know, we are working right now, it's not that we've not excluded people, but I've had the opportunity to talk to Congressman Hurd and Senator Bennett's staff. The VA won't give us his data. They have it, they won't share it. It's maddening, right? And I had an opportunity to talk to Secretary Collins, and it's like, why, what's the reluctance? And he's like, that it will be sold and that it will be weaponized, right? Oh, look at this data you're giving, and I honestly can see it. The selling part I don't quite get, because I can.
You can take people's names out.
I'm
What are
sorry.
you selling? If you're taking out identity.
Well, think about this, I've got 360,000 plus veterans, names, phone numbers, addresses, email,
Yeah,
phone
yeah.
number.
If you take all that out though, like there's nothing
Well,
to
but
sell.
that would be, all I have to do is sign an agreement between a state entity and a federal entity not to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Then it becomes criminal if Eric's like, dude, I can make a small fortune selling this to some company that markets to veterans.
Right,
Then
like
it's-
Amazon
he's-
starts selling
Yeah, he's
Vietnam hats here instead of, you know.
Yeah, so one would be sold and the other would be weaponized, meaning that we would use that data to show the VA in a bad light, which, again, it could be done, but that's not our purpose, and we can sign disclosures. So we're working with them, so maybe at some point when the time is right, I can reach out and you guys can reach out to Representative or Congresswoman Pedersen. She's my rep too, I should know. And say, hey, listen, would you support this legislation to force the VA to provide states that? Because they will not, we've been asking for it for years, and it's always the Heisman. Last time we were with them, the lady actually got angry with us. As National Association of State Directors, and we were at one of our national conferences, she's like, if you want the data, buy it just like we do. And I'm like, there's a total disconnect over what we need and what she's talking about. We can't seem to fix it. So yeah, the VA won't give us that data, but they have it. So
But they'll sell it, but they don't want you to sell it.
what she's saying is buy it from like TransUnion, where we'll go buy, you know, when we fill out, hey, I wanna join some selling, you know,
Costco.
where are you a veteran?
Say you're
Like you
vet-
click the
yeah, yeah.
veteran, all that stuff gets wrapped up into TransUnion.
Yeah,
And then TransUnion's like, hey, here's our database of veterans. Now, is it complete? Is it accurate?
right.
But that's not what we're looking for. I wanna know who's gotten benefits, and then we can reach out to them and market to them individually. And then, and it's not under the VA's, we're not gonna market it under VA, even though people confuse us.
How many state directors are asking for that? I don't understand why it would be
I think there's
nobody.
56 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just the high. It
Territories.
started off,
Okay.
yeah, we-
Look at these
Guam,
states.
Samoa.
Got it,
and then, so we've all asked for them at this national conference, and initially it's like, yeah, we'll work with you, and it's just year after, we meet twice a year, it just constantly gets pushed. And now with Secretary Collins and Congressman Hurd were together, and then he basically heard us continue to get the Heisman, right? And so afterwards, Congressman Hurd and I spoke, and he's like, I will help you get this. We'll put this in the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, or we'll find a way to compel them. So I just need to, it's on my priority list of stuff to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, let's get it.
No, I'm serious.
I'm too.
It's absolutely insane that we can't, as a government agency, not get, I understand, we're not like the VFW, right? So anyway, I don't need to share with you that
It's really
the
wild.
frustration.
Yeah.
But then we can get that information, right?
Yeah, that would help make informed decisions that would, you know, increase efficiency.
And you know you've reached out and you've touched it. Now if I've asked you, Andy, hey, this is what we have, and you're like, Bruce, I'm not interested, leave me alone. Okay, now I can kind of check you off. I mean, you definitively said no.
Mhm.
But I come to you and you're like, oh, maybe, call me next month. There's only 359, honestly, we should be able to go
You
through
can talk to each
each.
one of them, yeah, should be able to.
That would be the goal.
They each get 1 day a year, yeah.
You are.
So, Eric, do you have more you wanna share, more data?
No, I think
or-
that covers it all, yeah, and, yeah, I would say, like the boss said, at 40%, and so we, at the state, the way our model is here, it's not the same, we're a county model state, there's other states that are state model states.
Yeah.
So we're 30, his entire team, including the cemetery and everything else, is only 34 people, so we need to partner with the counties, because we're at 145,000 veterans getting services out of 362,000. So the state is not kicking butt and taking names, so we can't come throw a bunch of stones in a glass house, but we can't do it without the counties, and so that's why we come along and, everyone that he puts in his pot is also going into our pot, so that's why we're willing to come down here and spend a weekend, doing claims, whatever we need to do down here to set up a booth or whatever, because it helps the entire cause.
Cool.
What was the PACT Act and how did that change?
So 10 August of 2022, the PACT Act did basically like 3 things. So healthcare now, if you're exposed to a toxin. So even if you didn't go to Vietnam, you didn't go to the Middle East, and you were a fueler, you're around fuel all the time. You're not gonna, that stuff's toxic. Whether you cleaned a weapon, you cleaned a latrine even, all that stuff is toxic chemicals, so you're exposed to toxin. Now you can get healthcare. Prior to that, you either had to have a disability rating or be below the poverty line. So this, basically I talked to the national director for toxic exposures is in our building, and I don't know why she ended up in Denver, but she said there's really no way that the VA can fight that you haven't been exposed to a toxin in the military.
You clean the weapon?
Yeah.
Toxic stuff.
Unless you
It's like
show
part
up
of
and you're
basic
like,
training,
not for me,
yeah.
I'm leaving,
What's
you know,
that?
because-
Yeah,
It's part of basic training,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah,
You get
so-
like gassed a little bit and.
Well, for basic premise, everybody that has served in the military that has fired a weapon has been exposed to lead.
Yeah.
That's simple, because it's used in the propellant.
Yeah.
Like, if you have questions about the level of exposure, you're welcome to ask me. I am that scientific guy as well, who goes down rabbit holes farther than the White Rabbit and Alice in Wonderland. But there is a bunch of information.
I think
But back to the PACT Act.
So the second thing is for Vietnam, Agent Orange exposures. So it
Yeah.
used to be, you had to be boots on the ground or 12 nautical miles outside of Vietnam. Those planes were being loaded with Agent Orange in Thailand, but the VA didn't really recognize that unless you could prove you touched a C-123, which is
Right.
the spling. So now they've traced it from where it was created on ships, went to Johnson Atoll, went to Guam, went to Samoa, went to Thailand, all these other places. So now all those veterans who have been fighting that are now included in the club, including the DMZ in Korea during a certain time. And then the third thing is for the Middle Eastern, the burn pit, all that stuff there. So now there's 26 conditions, body parts, because some of it's general, like cancers of the neck, which could be the skin cancer here or esophageal, or there's a million.
right.
When you want to break it down, there's hundreds of different things that are now presumptive. 9 countries and waterways and at the time. So all those are now presumptive. And so we keep going presumptive, but what presumptive is you don't have to prove that the military caused it. The law says you prove that you were in Iraq, you prove that you have one of the 26 listed conditions. You can get it 50 years after you left Iraq.
Mhm.
The law says you were there, you got that condition, that bridge.
You don't have to prove it anymore.
No.
You don't have to prove it.
If it's, so a common one we see way after service is sleep apnea. That's not a presumptive. So if you wanna say you got sleep apnea after service and you snored real loud in service, now you need a medical professional to connect those two things, which is very hard 25 years after you left the service. Presumptive just wipes that whole middle piece out. You only need beginning and end.
And historically, people were told no. Now they don't have to prove anything.
Got it.
And that's what we need to continually reattack our existing veteran
Yeah.
population, right? Because in the 70s, they were told no. The women were told, you can't suffer PTSD because you weren't in combat. But yeah, we had nurses over there seeing horrific things, right? They were told no. Well, the answer now is yes. And that's why we need to continue to revisit.
And additionally, if I may add on to that, the PACT Act is the first benefits law that has come into effect for Veterans Affairs where it's a living document. It's a living law. There are things that are being continuously added to it, just within the first 2 years of it passing, 3 more got added to it. And it is continuing to be regulated, maintained, and developed. It is ordered by law that has to be developed. And if they find more stuff, they have to add it. So just because it's not on the list now, doesn't mean it doesn't need to be revisited in 2 years. So what was a mindset of a lot of the veterans that were getting out after Korea and Vietnam and so on, where, all right, I applied one time, the VA told me, no, I just can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's not, it's a continuously developing situation, and that's why we're encouraging the veterans to check back in and touch base like every 1 to 2 years to see, hey, anything new in the zoo? Which I know about, that kind of deal.
Is there also a way to like potentially get people just on a newsletter? It's like, hey, update to the Packet Act, have you been diagnosed with any of these things lately? Well, guess what?
Yep, because how many 70 or 80-year-old Vietnam era people have high blood pressure?
Right.
Even if you didn't go to Vietnam, you're 70, 80 years old,
Right.
you have high
Yeah.
blood pressure, but that's now a presumptive condition. So the line outside of all the VSO offices should be incredibly long, because that's just a very common thing that got included.
And it doesn't have to be, we talk about diseases and hypertension. If you have sinusitis, if you have a runny nose and you served in the Middle East, it's a presumptive condition.
And one of the things that it is a
Chronic
little.
runny nose,
No, I
right?
get it.
Yeah, but
So the way I was talking about how the VA, that goes more under Veterans Benefits Administration. But what's not talked about is VHA has to do a check-in every year about toxic exposures and everything on the annual physical. That has to be continued to develop, so if they start seeing a pattern there. So VHA and VBA are both going through that. So the Veterans Health Administration, Benefit
Yeah.
Administration is touching on it. So that's a huge change. But we have to get the veterans to go in to talk to them, to get into the benefits, to get into the health administration, to get that kind of going, because that creates a ripple effect.
Right.
But we just need that pebble to drop in the middle of that pond
Yeah.
to start that process for them, so they can continue to get that developing care. That's where our interest is to get that pebble to drop. That's the first effect, and to continue to develop off those ripples.
So if veterans are going to a community care clinic, does that information still get sent to the VHA?
Yes.
absolutely, yeah.
It doesn't kind of matter what your entrance point is, it's still all getting collated.
Well, your interest point will always be like a VA facility, and
Sure.
then you'll request a community care, and then they they'll send the medical record to the
To
VA,
the
they'll
VA,
be
okay.
connected.
But they do virtual care, so if you do virtual appointment and they're like, hey, Eric, it's time for your blood test, I'm gonna put a referral into Dr. Jones,
Yeah.
Leadville, Colorado, you don't have to drive to me, you can see him, he draws the blood, gets the results, sends it over to the VA, and that's uber convenient if
Okay.
it works out. And in theory, that briefs well,
Well,
actuality.
so, and I hate to, I don't wanna take more of your time than we're authorized or allotted, but I'll give you, so we went down to New Mexico, we visited the hospital down there, because the VA hospital, because Southern Colorado is served by New Mexico. And they have a 1-800 emergency healthcare number that any veteran can call and with an issue. And 65% of the calls resolve the issue. So let's say you have a veteran up here who does have access to VA care, and it's like, hey, I've got this going on, okay, yeah, we think it's based on it's clearly X, right, or we would, they can get the medicine sent to their homes, and they never have to leave their house. And 65% of the calls to that number are the resolution for the call. I didn't even know that existed until we went down and visited there. So it's how do we get the information out to veterans, right? There's so much information out there. How do we get the important stuff? How do we consolidate it?
On that note, is there a like technical support department or group or staff with you guys or associated to that would look over or help us implement if we don't have one, the website component? Cause you mentioned that as part of having an office, having a website was part of it,
Yeah.
effective outreach. Do we have a website? Do you have a website, Harry?
It's all listed on this county website.
Okay, it's like a menu item on our county website. So,
Yeah, we have somebody that we can help. We have Andy, is that his name? No,
Alex.
Alex. Alex, who's our IT guy, can help, I think, with that stuff.
Maximize our potential with
Yeah.
that, make sure we've got it placed prominently, we're using the right language, we've got,
Cause we could also look at it from the VSO perspective and say, it'd be really helpful if you put, I don't know,
RMR.
yeah, RMR, like, or just some helpful phone numbers, a helpful document or something like that, that Alex won't know about. Now, when it needs to get techie stuff about on there and look pretty and all that stuff, then Alex can help out with that, or your
Okay.
folks can, but.
but just make sure we got everything up to date and, you know, current info and, okay.
Cause some of the websites across the state are anywhere from like, Harry, hours, this address, this phone number, that's it, to, hey, some of them have automated appointment generators. You go in there and it's kinda like when you get service on your car, when do you wanna come in? I wanna come in Friday, and I have an opening slot at 10.
Yeah,
Then auto populates. Some of them will do a whole bunch of stuff. So this is as much as you wanna do, but we can, definitely look over a template and say, hey, you should add these 3 to 5 documents or have these 3 to 5 notes on there, something like that.
Yeah, and if nothing else, maybe we can find a county to partner with you, right, that understands your firewall issues and all that stuff. But yeah, we'll absolutely work with you guys to help.
okay, cool, thank you.
Is that something we need to reach out to you for, or y'all are gonna put it in motion?
Yeah, if you guys will
So-
email us, then we can get you.
If you wanna send me an email, I'll arrange a phone call, we can sit down, go over any of that information, then identify what next steps need to happen to, try to figure out what's the best time, best use, everything from there, just make sure.
Plus to set up the boom
Yep, and
Boom
coordination for boom days.
days, to set up boom days, and
You don't wanna miss boom days.
I kinda wanna come.
If you
That's a
haven't
good
been, I
time.
recommend it at least once.
It's a good time.
Yeah, I mean, 359 veterans doesn't sound like a staggering number, but when your entire county is 7,200 people, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the demographic of those veterans, like ages?
We don't have the specific demographics, but I can give you the state average to try and identify a better perspective on how your population would be split out. I've looked over your guys' populations by demographics, and it does seem that you have more women in this county, which I found kinda odd. I haven't seen that before, but I've looked over quite a bit of the information. I can give you a rough estimate at best, but we can't get that specific information from EA right at this moment.
We gotta change some legislation, make that happen.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's wild.
That's hard to target outreach if you don't entirely know who you're
Well,
reaching out.
Yeah, that's true, very true, yeah, so.
But we're here, we're truly a phone call away, any three of us. My office phone goes directly to my cell, we'll get you that information, because I was unprepared today.
I'm very much hearing that, like, you're offering and asking for as much teamwork as possible to try to serve more folks, and
Absolutely,
I don't know, I'm hearing that loud and clear.
yeah. And if they fail to do that, then you call.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
And, I don't, it feels like disingenuous to look at this from an economic standpoint, but I mean, there is definitely an economic component to this by getting more services to the people on the ground here.
It's not disingenuous, the word investment is overused, but if we can just be, I'm not trying to poke at Lake County, right? But if we can just be effective in the time we have, then it's free chicken,
Yeah.
right? We just need to be across the state and within our own division, if we can just be more effective. Because this year it's $5,000, right?
Mhm.
Next year it's 5,000 plus 5,000, next year and it just continues, to go. Alright,
I love it.
anything else?
I checked all my question marks off.
We have party gifts, so our coin, we gotta do it the right way, though, you gotta like a
Right
handshake.
now, the state.
And then,
is a
we just wanna say thank you, put that on your desk or wherever you might take a look at it.
Awesome.
And,
So-
Bruce.
Yeah, and then.
and honestly, if you have questions, call us, right? We can't, unless we're talking, we can't make progress.
Yeah.
But thank you for giving us all the time you've given us.
Oh yeah,
course,
don't
yeah.
feel in a rush, we gave you guys as much time as you needed today, so.
And one final thing, what's the recommendation on a place to eat? We're gonna spend some money here.
Although you don't have a college here, so some of the.
Well, what do you
We
feel?
have
you
the
got?
Colorado.
Good food, anything?
Boulder is way
Where would you go? You were gonna go, it's like, man, I just wanna have a good
It's
meal.
like 3,000.
Famous has like the best,
So they skew the other way.
Famous?
they got pizza and pasta and
How much time do you got?
All the time in the world.
My name is also spelled in a way that.
Well, if you're ever here in the evenings, go to Quincy's for a steak.
Okay.
There's no menu, it's just what size steak you
Everyone's
want
All right.
and how do you want it cooked.
Very cool.
If you're moving quick, I would always recommend the taco truck, El Mexicano. It's like, people
That's
come
good.
from out of county to eat from that truck.
So
It's-
famous for the taco?
And they've been around for
Safeway.
decades. Next to Safeway, yeah.
Okay.
what else?
Bucci, me personally, I really love their Cuban sandwiches. It's phenomenal. If you're up for pizza, High Mountain Pies, very well known.
Awesome.
Barbecue.
Well, thank you so
Hey,
much.
Last thing
Thank
before you
you.
go, I wanna thank you all for your service.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're all veterans. And,
I think actually most of us were all retired.
Yeah.
I'm just tired.
and you're still serving, so that means a lot.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good job. But thank you all.
Thank you guys. It's really nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
Very
all.
nice meeting you. We'll be in
Nice
touch with you. And yeah, make sure that you get all that stuff.
Sounds great, I just emailed Matthew.
Very nice to meet you.
Man, you didn't even get a chance to get out the door.
No, he's gonna grab him.
I had a quick question too, so, Carrie, do you wanna try to meet before our August meeting, or is it just published?
1:30?
Becky,
Well,
Yeah.
we moved it to
Becky's
August.
1 o'clock, yeah.
Is that good, or do you wanna try to meet?
Okay, item number 2 on today's Lake County Board of County Commissioners work session is discussion and direction regarding an intergovernmental agreement between Lake County and the Leadville Lake County Regional Housing Authority. This will be led by Becky Longberg, Director of the authority. Hello, Becky.
Hello, County Commissioner. Thank you for having me. And, I am bringing this to a work session tonight.
I'm sorry. Before we start,
Yeah.
is there anybody in the room who'd like to make a public comment? After.
She has to listen to everything first.
Okay, sorry, Ray.
Thank you so much,
At
Matt.
our meeting, we do public comment first. And after. Bringing this, to the county commissioners because, we're at a stage very close to finalizing an IGA between the jurisdictions in the continuing of, not the formation, we've been formed, now we're continuing the existence of the housing authority. And there are 2 points that we would like to discuss with some clarity on from the county side, county's perspective. The first point is that in the original IGA that was created, it stated that if the housing authority were going to do a mill levy, which by state statute we are allowed to do, up to 5 mills, the IGA limited us to 2 mills. And my reasoning is, it's not on anybody's radar, but why limit the possibility, we don't know what's gonna happen in 20 years. Why continue that limited mill levy when we could address it now, make it commensurate with the state statute? And so that's something to consider. That's the first topic. The second topic is that the county has been supporting the housing authority by both in 2 ways. Services provided, so you have been acting as the housing authority's payroll department, benefits provider, and IT help. And in the new IGA, Candace brought up that is sort of a backwards process for the county to be doing that, and so she asked that the housing authority take on our own payroll department. Perfectly reasonable. So what I'm here asking is that the county consider continuing to allow us to access your benefits package, because as a county with as many employees as you have, you're able to get a much better benefits package for less. And that you consider extending that benefit to another regional housing authority staff person. So that staff person would not be at the same pay rate as the executive director. However, it would, I don't know, ballpark, I think I came up with, currently it's about 25 grand, 28 grand for the benefits package. And adding a new person would be another about approximately 20,000. Ballpark.
Thanks, Becky.
Does that summarize it well?
Yeah, so we haven't provided IT support in the past, and I think that only happened because Jackie was our employee. Like, we don't give out IT equipment of the counties, especially now that we catalog it before it goes out the door to other parties, and that's pretty standard because of the security pieces. Just to clarify, what had been happening is we were paying for the payroll and the benefits and then having to bill the RHA back for the payroll portion, which, you know, there's no reason we can't just pay for their benefits if that's the thing we're gonna do. But we were gonna work with them to let them get a payroll system set up. And actually, we talked about we could sit down and talk through options if you want to. Oh, great. So that's like not, you know, right now we just have money going out the door and then having to rebill her back, which just gets to be confusing, but we can just pay for the benefits outright. So that's the only reason we changed that piece of the agreement is.
And to clarify the IT part,
Yeah.
is that I have been posting all of our agendas on the county website, when we now have a live website. Shh, don't tell anybody else yet. Cause I'm gonna announce it tomorrow. So in 2027, we would be able to then also, through the rest of this year, I should be posting agendas on the county website, because that's what we said we were gonna do at the beginning of the year. So continue to do that, but then I could be
You guys have a
discontinued.
spot that you'd be posting.
Yeah, we would have a legal way of doing that.
Yeah.
And so that's been support. I've been allowed onto the website to post those agendas, post the vacancy, that kind of stuff. And I have had some personnel hours. I have used your IT department just for advice. So it's been a few months, but last summer for sure.
So really the agreement for the payroll and the benefits, that's just up to you guys if you wanna pay for a second round of benefits in the agreement, but we plan to continue through the end of this year processing your payroll.
Yeah.
Really until you feel like you're even ready for the transition.
I'd like to be live with that on January 1st, so that you,
It is
It's
nice not in the
clean
middle of a fiscal year, but
yeah.
I'm trying to look at like the bigger picture as far as like the dollars and cents obligations on the county's end. And, you know, looking through that lens for everything is somewhat exhausting sometimes, but I do feel like we're moving some responsibilities that we have had in-house with Jackie onto these guys. So they're shouldering more burden that traditionally has been ours, and we're dropping an FTE.
yeah, we are not
But-
gonna refill
So I feel
that
like
housing position
we
on our side.
we from a dollars and cents standpoint, we've got a pretty good benefit out of this organization existing recently. So that kind of, for me, that's like sort of puts things in a little bit more of a favorable light, like, okay, like we can help out with the
Well, and we
benefits
just
package.
get such a better rate for benefits than if they have to go out on their own with two people, that is an astronomical
And
cost.
it's not just like, can they use our benefits, it's, we're covering the cost of benefits,
We
okay,
pay the benefits
yeah.
directly and they just get enrolled like any of our other people.
Then the other thing, I need to hear more for and against both sides of this mill levy thing, cause that's, I think when I brought that up to you guys, I was like, I have no idea on this one, I'm undecided, I need to dive into it, so that's why I'm glad we're having this work session, cause the mill levy thing is still,
Well, and I don't know if anyone in the room was party to the original conversation around the levy back in 2021, 22. I don't know what the reasoning was behind moving it below state statute.
Yeah, I mean, just for a point of clarity, the current IGA that's being renegotiated, it's 1 mil, it's not 2 mils. So the issue, and by state statute, housing authorities are allowed to levy up to 5 mils, obviously. Any increase in mills would need to be subject to a Tabor election and go through a vote. The IGA is also written in a manner that the mill levy can't be advanced by the RHA board without, needs a supermajority vote of that board, and the two of you are on that board, as well as how many city council people are.
Two.
Is it
One
two?
and one.
Okay. So
So
that's just a mechanism, just so you're aware, to have that conversation of whether you wanna, where you wanna put this thing at, but it's by statute, it can go up to 5, but any increase is gonna require a Tabor election and a supermajority vote by the housing authority to even get it to an election.
and there is no mill levy at this time.
There's no way.
I can only imagine that it was probably put in place because if you go up to 5 mils and it gets passed, then something else, some other ballot initiative is gonna suffer, because people are gonna be like, oh, geez, we went up to 5 on that last year, let's not vote for this next thing.
Right.
That's just a guess,
Ballot initiatives are such tricky,
yeah.
there's so much to weigh, because you're trying to predict.
there's a lot of boxes to check, and there's only so much ink in the pen for this community.
That being said, I don't know why you would otherwise limit it to 1 or 2%, or 1 or 2 mils.
Same. It feels a little silly that like, I mean, just for now, I know sometimes the community is not great about like having a plan before we go to the voters. Right, but
What do you mean?
But I do
Never
feel
seen
like
that
there's a
happen.
culture shift happening where, that we're gonna be in a chapter of actually having a plan first. But let's just say like the housing authority came up with a plan, and to implement it, they would need 1.2 mils or something. It just seems a little administratively burdensome to like set 1 mil, and then and then the RHA, which is 2/3 of us, have to come back to our body to say, can we change our IGA, and then it has to go to the city, and the city has to say, yes, let's change the IGA, just to even get something on the ballot, it just feels like we're setting ourselves up for administrative silliness.
I just have, I have a point, like both, I'm still very neutral on this, I'm not, on one side, it's like, well, this would have to go to the voters. And I always have this strong feeling like the people should just be the ultimate deciders on big things like this. But on the other hand, I feel like, it's at a certain point, like you're crossing a threshold where you are trying to produce affordable housing by making housing and ownership more expensive for everyone. And something in there has like a weird moral conundrum in me. And just raising taxes, like, so, I don't need to go down that rabbit hole too far, but it's like, how much more expensive are we gonna make it for everybody so that a few people can get benefit from this? And there's a happy middle ground in there. I don't know if that maybe also touched in on why initially someone was like, well, we're not gonna let all 5 mils fly on this. I wasn't in the room, I don't know what the reasoning is, but maybe it was a combination of things that were discussed in that room, but. So again, I could go either way.
That's a good point, Andy, 5 mils is a lot, it probably wouldn't happen, but in the future it could happen depending on who's voting. All those people that didn't vote for that, their tax burden's gonna go way up, and it's not fair necessarily. It is the way it works, but if you're somebody who voted against it and your tax your taxes went up anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe that was part of their decision, I don't know.
It's just really like, I don't wanna say traumatic, but it stuck with me really. I'll take it to my grave, of sitting in this room listening to people who are on a fixed income talk about if this goes up if my bills go up any more, I'm choosing between feeding myself or feeding my cat, you know, and it was just like, it breaks your heart, and also it's like, I always wanna be really cautious, thoughtful about things like that.
I did a little light research to find out what other similar counties have passed mill levies. And I didn't get very far. I did confirm that the Grand County, so that's Winter Park and Granby, did pass a 2 mill levy in 22. And obviously that's a different community. They have more municipalities, a lot more area, a lot of second homeowners, like even more than here. And Winter Park, Mary Jane is quite the tourist driver. But that 2 mill levy, it comes up to about 2 million a year. Depending on the years.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and what is Durango, what's the county that Durango's in?
Plata.
They have one as well, but I wasn't into the details on it. But it has happened, but I don't think it's a very frequently used tool for fundraising. And I don't think it's anything that's on the Regional Housing Authority's radar for quite a while.
It's failed 2 times in Chaffey County, they tried to do that.
Yeah, it's really not in our 5-year strategic plan, even discussed,
Not even
not even
mentioned.
mentioned.
Yeah, so I don't think it's something that we need to address immediately. And I don't know, not having any legal background whatsoever, I don't know if there is language that could be put into the IGA that could say, we're gonna do what the state statute says and recognize that this is a topic that we wanna address every time we renew the IGA. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's implied, anytime IGA comes up for renewal, people
That
say,
any of the
yeah, all the
topics.
parties are open to renegotiate it at that time.
What is the duration of that cycle?
So this is another thing that's being changed a little bit, I think we're, had suggested a 3-year term, is that right?
It'd be,
Or 5?
what I remember talking about with Ashley was, let's get us through our current strategic plan, which is through 2028.
Yeah, so this new IGA would be a 3-year term.
Supposedly including 2026.
And you said it's limited to 1 mil?
Right
Is
now
that-
it is.
It's
Right.
currently limited to 1 mil.
And then in the new IGA, that is what is up for discussion right now is,
This is whether to allow this authority the ability to levy 5 mils, yes.
Well, it's supposed to be a mechanism, like a governing mechanism, right? That the BOCC or the city could put on to the Regional Housing Authority. But we also have 4 seats. We control a supermajority on the RHA also, which is needed to even put a mill onto the ballot.
Right.
So that's 2 governors from the elected officials to get a mill onto the ballot, which, again, it just feels like administratively a little overbuilt. To be like, yeah, we're gonna limit it to 1, but then also we're limiting ourselves in that conversation. Like when we talk about the Regional Housing Authority, that's 2 of the 3 of us.
Right.
So we're talking about, are we going to limit ourselves? And in that conversation, we already have the ability to have really strong voices from the RHA. So we have voices here and we have voices on the RHA. I feel like we would already have a place to say, no, we don't wanna go up to 5 mils. Because we're 2 voices on a board.
Very strong point.
That's true, but also those voices on the board are generally gonna be interested in the subject, in favor of whatever we can do to help, so.
Yeah.
It's not like there's dissenting voices in that room, maybe Andy.
You met Dan.
What's that?
You met Dan.
Oh, yeah, Dan, I forgot that.
He'll dissent every so often.
So
Well,
you like
I don't
going
even
up
say he's dissenting.
to the max, if
I
you-
like not overbuilding a separate authority that we are deeply involved in. It's like if we were trying to write, like the sanitation, Parkville, they can put mills on the ballot too. And I have no interest, even if it came across my desk, I would have no interest in telling them how much they could or couldn't put on the ballot personally.
So that's a yes, you'd like to see it allowed up to 5, in this IGA, you'd like to see it allowed up to 5 minutes.
Yes, but I'm just trying to be really clear that it is not as though I want the
Sure, I
regional housing
understand.
authority. I'm trying to say it for also
Oh.
the record.
Yeah.
That it's not that I'm saying, yeah, I think the regional housing authority should be leveraging as many mills as possible. I'm saying that feels overbuilt to me. And so I am not in favor of putting another governor onto that board when I feel like I have enough of a voice there. And that the BOCC has enough of a voice there.
And ultimately, the voters will have a voice.
Exactly. It's just getting it onto the ballot that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we don't know what this community will be facing when it comes to housing in 2 years even, so I don't know, I just don't wanna do this again to have to change this in the IGA. If the regional housing authority comes to us with a great plan and it will take more than 1 mil, we will have to go through this whole process and it will take months. And that seems like we're shooting ourselves in the foot administratively.
Yeah, there's a lot of safeguards in place. Or a lot of fairness guards in place to keep this from getting wild. Thinking for those folks on fixed incomes, I do still have some slight concerns, only because I've seen ballot measures that were really well strategized. You hire the right people to push the right language on it, you're gonna have a lot better of a chance of passing something, even if it doesn't pencil out right for the community, for everybody, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, totally, and I think that's the problem, like
And-
sorry, go ahead.
well, and I'm trying to imagine anyone being in these chairs, it's not us, we kinda have a little, I feel like we've got a really strong balance here. But like, what if that wasn't the case, what if there was just 3 very charismatic and very popular, proponents. Proponents of something that, and they also knew how to run ballot languages so I don't know, I mean, again, I can go either way, so I'm sorry, I just went down a verbal rabbit hole and chased my tail.
Can I
doing this for
offer two things that might help?
Absolutely, please, I need more.
I think 2 things, one we've talked a lot about in here, especially you and I, Andy, is like mills are regressive taxes. Like they burden people who have fewer resources more than they burden others.
Yeah.
And that's a really messy part of our taxing structure, is that most of the tools that we have to tackle any of the problems of our community are regressive. And hence something like a second home fee or an excise tax, because those become more progressive, where you're actually removing some of the burden from the people you're actually trying to serve.
Yeah, we're
Right?
not targeting the people on fixed incomes who are
Right.
barely getting by.
But those aren't any of the tools currently available to us. So currently a mill is, and even though it's not as clean as, say, an excise tax, the regional housing authority through program building and capacity building, which is what the RHA is trying to build towards with more staff, with taking on some of the work of the county. They're trying to build so that they can offer more programs that help unburden some of the folks that are the whole point of the regional housing authority. So it's going through more steps than just a simple taxation measure, but Becky's whole job is to figure out how to create programs that lessen the burden from those people with fixed incomes, from those people who are stuck in rental properties in a fluctuating market, et cetera, et cetera. So until we get some of those more progressive tax levers, a regional housing authority is a way to accomplish that. And if we don't appropriately resource a regional housing authority, then we aren't even helping unburden some of what you're talking about through one of these tools that we do have in the meantime. It's one of the reasons why a regional housing authority is so important to me, is because it is talking exactly about the people that you're talking about, trying to help them fix income, and we don't have other ways to do it through taxation. So, just wanna, and Becky, will you correct me if I got any of that wrong?
No, that was absolutely right, although I have been asked to also broaden the income streams, which we are working on. So we will be crossing our fingers here, if we get the land bank award and enter into a special limited partnership with Tributary, we're gonna get a sizable chunk of money for the in lieu of property tax. Payment in lieu of property tax, so that would be another income stream. When we get the affordable housing property management program built in February of next year, we will start having rental. We will be collecting rents and, or if we're not the owners of those units, providing a service to the owners and collecting a fee. So we're diversifying our income streams.
Yeah.
And so that we're not relying only, because in the past we've relied only on the county and the city. We've had two sources of income. So we're working on providing services, writing grants, creating partnerships.
Since I'm so new in that room, you know, the lens that I'm looking through only shows like, affordable housing projects. It's still, those are the only things I've really felt like I've seen coming across my plate as I've been, you know,
since
have the
January.
front row seat, so.
Yeah.
It's not always super clear to me that, there are other programs a regional housing authority can implement that are gonna help with, tax assistance or help some of these folks who are on these fixed incomes. That's something that I'm completely unversed in, and I will own that and admit it.
Strategic planning in September, be there, or be square.
I also would say check out like the Chaffey's
Chief Housing Trust,
Housing Trust, or no, the Chaffey County Housing Authority.
okay.
Check out their website, because that will give you an overall view of like, I mean, I would say they're pretty thorough in all the assistance services they offer, right?
They've got, if you look at housing on a spectrum with people who need no housing assistance whatsoever on this side, and people who are chronically homeless on this side, and the spectrum in between. So you've got college kids who are moving every 6 months or 4 months, working seasonal jobs. You've got people on fixed incomes. You've got people who are former homeowners but had a life-changing medical issue and lost their house and are now renting and the whole family is in a 2-bedroom, kind of thing. So you've got folks experience all kinds of housing. Chaffey Housing Authority does work with families who are homeless, so they serve a broader spectrum than we do at this time. But it is a really good example of the kinds of things that housing authorities can do, Chaffey Housing Authority. And they do provide property management services for all of the Chafee Housing Trust home ownership opportunities that are vacant. So with the idea that, hey, you live here for a year or two, get yourself stable, maybe you can buy it, right? Let's get your credit cleaned up so that you can apply for a loan. Okay, so there's a counseling aspect to it. So there's a lot of things that we can do on the housing spectrum. But we're just still waiting. Our ankles are not quite wet yet.
I mean, there's a potential middle ground for you all, I kind of hear both sides of what the boards want. We could build into this agreement as well, the situation where you allow, up to 5 mils as state statute allows, but also have a mechanism where it needs to come back to the Board of County Commissioners prior to proceeding. It's another option.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
To have city council and the board of commissioners
Yeah, city council as
approve
well.
before the
And
housing.
then you have like
authorities.
essentially 3 boards having a check on it
Yeah.
before you have the final check, which is the voters.
Or wouldn't it go to the housing authority first and then come to us? And that would
Probably the PAT board would need to pass it first, would be the.
It'd be the same thing, cause there's 2 of us on the housing authority.
Potentially, I've seen
could disagree
board
though.
members switch votes and, somebody super persuasive gets in the other board members here and makes a case of why it needs to go down.
Yeah.
On the city council only,
Just one, yeah.
so, yeah, at this point.
Would anything that the regional housing authority do, would that be a countywide mill, or could they ask for just a city?
I think it would depend on what we created. I've only been,
It would be countywide.
Would it be, okay, yeah, countywide, okay.
So it's
So
different
then-
than how they did the sales tax.
To me, it would make sense that it come back to the county, not the city.
Not the city. Interesting, because
That feels
Yeah, yeah.
crazy, like, I don't know how anything would ever get onto the ballot
Yeah.
if you have to persuade 3 boards, and that feels even more crippling to me.
so in Leadville, there's not any property taxes assessed, like in Salida, whereas BB does have a property tax assessed. The town of BB does.
There's no separate property tax
no,
Okay.
yeah,
for the city.
Yeah,
so that
city
makes
doesn't have a
sense, yeah.
Okay, so that would make
That would
sense.
make sense, yeah.
You know, if I were to consider doing it, I've only been involved in 2, and very, from a far distance, 2 tax initiatives. And both of them were pretty well thought out. But the way Adam and the Early Childhood Center, or Early Childhood Coalition, and Carly, have all been being very thoughtful about bringing community together and saying, hey, we're thinking about this, who else is?
Mhm.
We don't wanna be in competition with the wastewater treatment plant or the school district or whomever might be doing something else. Public health or a tobacco initiative, whatever the case may be. So I think that a lot of homework up front for 6 months or a year up front before even putting it together would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I feel like what you mentioned earlier, that there is a very mindful approach to bringing in, like introducing the possibility of a tax or a new tax.
Yeah.
Now, maybe more so than there's been in the past, and that's not to say that it might change again in the future, but I do feel like there's a very big shift in the way organizations are functioning in this town, that there's especially with the joint comprehensive plan coming out. You know, there's kind of this moment is all about commitment to coming together and working together, and so.
Asking about what other organizations are doing.
I mean, aside from your 6 months of planning too, I think, I feel like I've seen statistics that show, I mean, it's progressive tax initiatives, you got every 4 years to make those happen. Statistically, it looks like the chances go way higher on presidential election cycles, not midterm cycles, because your voter demographics change in each of those. And so it's, I mean, anything would, not anything, and this isn't an absolute, but it's like, there's a good chance that it aside from that 6 months of planning, there's only certain windows where these things even have a solid chance of flying.
Right.
You know what I mean, like the Magellan strategy seminars and stuff.
That being said, would a 2% limit help protect some of the other people in this town that wouldn't get included in the conversation? You know, somebody that's not in the circle, or, you know, somebody that has some other ballot initiative, there might be a level of protection of 2% for somebody else. That's not a statement, that's a question.
Alright, that's a question. What is, it leads me to ask another question. 2 mils on $100,000 is.
$200.
It's 200, right, I was moving the period over, it's $200. So if the average home here is between 4 and 5, let's go to 5 because it's easy math. That's what we're talking about. A 2 mil tax initiative costing someone $1,000 a year. That is a lot.
It's a lot.
People would have a hard time with 5 mils.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, with 2 mils on a $500,000.
Yeah. A lot of these folks in these $500,000 homes did not buy a $500,000 home.
Right, they bought a $70,000.
Yeah. And the windows are leaking cold air and the roofs leaking.
I'm curious about, like, is this also limiting if there was ever a short-term rental tax that county was, if you were talking about limiting who you're taxing, or not short-term rental, but,
Second homeowner.
no, retail tax or second homeowner tax, any of those, like if there's a potential way to tax those folks who are not the ones who are.
Not yet.
There's
Not
currently not, that's
But-
why it's called a regressive tax.
But if there was in the future, that's another way that it's like
Yeah.
having our options.
Yeah.
As, you know, so that if that changed and
Yeah.
there was the potential for that, like that we could be as flexible as possible.
Yeah, that's a big conversation when you get into the vacancy tax thing. And that's one I think would be requiring a lot more safeguards in, because you put a vacancy tax in front of voters and they're like, oh, tax people who don't live here. Psh. And you could run wild with those. Those could be beneficial and damaging depending on how big they are. So, but it's currently Colorado state law prohibits any kind of vacancy tax. So that needs
Does it
change.
if you're home rule?
Wait, what?
If you're home rule, are you allowed to?
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
question.
If you're home rule, you
If you're home
can.
rule, you can.
Yep,
And so if there was ever, you know.
that is a thing we could do.
Yeah.
That almost seems harder than like persuading the Colorado legislature.
Cause I think once you go to home rule, you lose all kinds of funding and,
There are big consequences.
Pros
yeah.
and cons, a lot of, I don't know, I'm learning about this.
Yeah, there is no easy path forward. This map has paths going everywhere.
I just wanna jump in and clarify, cause it sounded to me like something was a little off with that mill calculation, it's actually more like $20.
Thank you. It-
Okay.
Not 200?
So much.
No, we had done this calculation when we were considering the budget last year,
It was like a cup of coffee.
and we were looking at like a half mil versus 1 mil, what that,
Yeah.
the impact to homeowners would be. So for the average, like I think 507,000, we'd be talking about $15 to $20 times.
A
For
month,
2
a
mills.
month.
That then
Yeah.
says, let's
Per
leave it
year.
at state statute of
Per
500.
year.
Tax bill, your property tax bill.
Not per month. That's like,
That's your overall property, increase to your overall property taxes.
are we billed 6 months or yearly?
Yearly,
Yearly.
And you have, yeah, there's 2 payments basically.
you do a full payment or two.
Thanks for that clarification.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just remember we went through
Yeah.
this kind of
Made
exercise.
that handout.
No, I remember. 200 felt crazy in my brain.
It's like, that's $1,000, but then I look at what I paid in taxes and I was like, well, I don't know what mills we have either.
We have 40 mils,
We currently have 40 mills?
whatever, 40. We're at 39.5.
9.5.
39.5 right now.
Okay.
So we would be paying out of our noses if that were the right one. Great, so we're talking about the difference between a cup of coffee and a bougie sandwich, between 1 and 5 mils
Per year, per year.
per year, yeah.
Well, it's not just that, I mean, it's all the other taxes and all the things,
Absolutely,
everything just piling on top of each other, so.
absolutely, but the broader question, I think, is like, how much are we going to limit what the voters have choice on? And we're talking about the difference between limiting whether they can make a decision on a cup of coffee tax or a sandwich tax. And a bougie sandwich is a lot,
Oh, yeah.
Does this affect commercial properties as well?
yes. So,
I don't think we can make a decision here right now, so how are we going to?
no, we need to direct Matt though.
This will come back to you all
Finish
for a final vote, and
Okay.
Since we're not putting forth a mill levy tax initiative in the next 5 years for the next strategic plan, can we keep it at 5 now and readdress it in 3 years when we are renegotiating our IGA?
Well, that was the ask, right?
Yeah.
Not keep it at 5, right now it's at 2, it's at 1. So we wouldn't be keeping it at 5, we'd be,
My argument
Raising.
is, let's just make it commensurate with the state,
I know,
yeah. But, and the increase.
Yeah.
Of some kind.
I think regardless, I'm fine with it being at 5. I think that if we put it at 1, we're just gonna have to do this all over again if the RHIA worker wants to go to a ballot initiative. And that will take us months, which I think could kill any ballot initiative, which would be a shame. So I'm in favor of going to 5. I also just wanna state that I would be in favor of supporting, just make it really clear, in favor of supporting 2 employees' benefits. I'd like to see the capacity of the RHA increased and for us to have that involvement in it.
Yeah, well, the benefits thing I'm good with, cause I feel like they're taking over responsibilities that the county has been doing and they've earned that and we've actually are saving money in the long run because we dropped a full-time employee position now that they have capacity to take those things over. The other thing is, you know, the weird X factor for me on that is now I'm thinking about commercial properties and what's that look like if you've got assessed value of $1 million for your snowmobile company or something like that, it does start to, it does start to add up. And I guess since I'm so undecided, we've got 1 and then we've got 5 and I'm like, I'll just go right up the middle and say 3.
That's fine.
The easiest way I can, uncomplicate this in my brain, because there's a million things on each side going on. Yes.
3's fine with me.
I was thinking 2.5.
We have a city council person here, let's hear what her opinion is.
Oh, no, I mean, I just feel like it seems unlikely that you're going to go beyond 2 if you
I
ever
agree.
made an ask, so, 3 seems very reasonable, and again, if Matt's more comfortable with 2.5, chances are it's never gonna even come to 2.5. So, and there's gonna be a reexamination of it in
3 years.
Yeah.
anyhow, before any potential, so I think you're pretty safeguarded there, and you can maybe putting it at 3 and then coming back and examining it and, if at the next revisiting of the IGA.
Yeah, could be other folks sitting in these chairs in 3 years.
I won't argue with 3. And I'll be grateful.
I'm so directed.
okay, 3 mills and then
2
2
employees.
benefits. Okay.
Excellent, is there anybody in the room now who would like to make a public comment?
I you have any questions?
Ray?
What's this meeting about again?
Oh, good question. Do you wanna tell her that?
This meeting is about anybody who owns a home has to pay taxes. So
Is that
what,
what this means?
what we're talking about is charging them a little bit extra to help folks that don't own a home get into a home, basically.
We're also talking about a regional housing authority, which is an agreement between, Gita is on city council with Daddy. And it's an agreement between both city council and the county to say, hey, we wanna create this separate authority, separate from us. And so we have to write this document, Matt has to write the document that we all agree to,
It's always on that.
it's always on.
Always.
And so we're all trying to negotiate, well, what is gonna be in the agreement? So that we can actually, so that Becky, with the Regional Housing Authority, can actually go do her job and not wonder if she's doing it legally or not.
Yeah, cause up to this point, we've been working on goodwill.
Handshakes.
Still working, it's a lot of goodwill.
It's a good question, right, babe? Thank you. Easy reach.
Yeah, thank you for coming to our meeting. Appreciate that. Okay, well, I think that's good,
That's great.
Thank you.
eh? Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Now I'm more familiar with this whole process, I'll be able to get on it a little easier.
Every time I think something's gonna be a little easier, I'm always wrong, so. Careful.
So this concludes the work session of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. It's July 14th at 1:48 p.m. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Gita.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Gita. Glad
Thank
you came.
commissioners.
Yeah, me too, I've been